Julian, everyone knows Citi, but maybe if you just tell us the size and scope of it. I think this picture does a justice to it, but still.
It's beautiful. Yeah, I mean, again, thank you so much for having me here. We have a great partnership, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak to everyone here. So I've been at Citi for under 2 years, but I will tell you every day I'm amazed at the scale, scope, and complexity of the organization. We serve clients in 90 countries. We have 280,000 people and employees. In the technology organization, which I lead, we have almost 90,000 people, 45,000 developers.
Unbelievable.
The scale is...
You have more developers than many software companies, yes.
The scale is fascinating.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating.
So tell us, how are you architecting Citi for the agentic era?
Yeah, so we've been at really looking at AI, or Gen AI, since really 2024, where we've started to do our first implementations. We've done AI, of course, like any other financial institutions for many years in our trading and market environment. But really looking at Gen AI since 2024, we work with most of the large frontier models. We've developed an infrastructure that enables us to connect our frontier models with our applications, with MCP services, and what have you. And then we have a lot of different point solutions across the organization, and quickly we realized this is just not going to scale, right? What our differentiator is the scale of our institution, the scale of our ability to serve clients, so we needed to develop one orchestration architecture, one development framework, where we would put all of our AI capabilities and then integrate across our businesses. And so we have actually developed an agent development framework environment. We're looking at all of our core processes across Citi, and then for each of those, we're looking at how do we actually orchestrate our solutions. Because we have so many developers, we like to build our own solutions, but we also realize that for speed and efficiency, it's good to partner with really strong capabilities in the market. That's where we have a lot of good relationships with you and at Automation Anywhere, and specifically in the orchestration layer space.
Right. How do you define the success criteria? Accuracy in a regulated industry, very important. How do you decide?
Yeah, so for us, there are really two components. One is client service, right? How do we actually bring AI to better serve our clients, to bring better products, to accelerate how fast we can actually deliver services to them, how fast we can open an account for them, how fast we can approve a loan, or what have you. So really, it's about speed. And then two, it's of course about accuracy. And so I think you mentioned earlier the concept of the semantic layer, and that really bring the context for the agents, and that's critical for us, right? We have probabilistic solutions, and we need deterministic answers, right?
That's right.
Responses to problems.
Yeah.
And that's where we actually build that semantic layer, where we can train the agents to actually learn the business, learn the clients, learn the data, and then enable them to make sure that the answer is systematically the same when the same set of
I think
data.
you said something that resonates with every regulated industry. How do you take a probabilistic agents, but we need deterministic answers, and how do you find that balance?
Yeah.
How do you, many of the companies in this space are stuck in pilots, and some people say there are more pilots than airlines. So how does Citi of your size it doesn't get stuck in pilot?
Yeah, so it's a really, really good question, and I'm sure many people in the audience feel the same, right? Where you have a lot of different solutions, AI-based on solution that do not scale, right? And if it doesn't scale, it doesn't really bring the value that we're looking for. So we actually, as I mentioned, we started with having a lot of different pilots and agents kind of in different parts of the organization. And what we did is we decided to actually centralize all of it. I know many of my peers are saying they have 4,000 use cases. We actually decided to focus on 55 use cases.
55 is the magic number.
55 processes.
55.
That's the first, that's our wave one.
Yeah.
But we wanted end-to-end processes, right? We wanted to start with the customer and then end with whether it's kind of the processing of the decision, and with our reporting capabilities, and with our finance and risk environment, our back end, if you will. And for each of these processes, we actually deploy these orchestration layers. We actually deploy the agent solutions. We started also to look at our risk and compliance environment, and we decided to agentify risk and compliance as well, so build agents that would enable risk managers to accelerate their review of the pilots and the solutions and the capabilities we develop so that we could go a lot faster in actually shipping products to the market, in developing new solutions for our clients.
That sounds like a great advice for all regulated industries, because one of the biggest hurdle is compliance and regulations and risk awareness. Yeah. But if you help AI there, you can accelerate the entire AI journey.
Exactly, right. And we want to demonstrate that velocity doesn't go against governance, right? So we bring the two together, keeping human in the loop, making sure that the risk managers are reviewing the decisions, reviewing the output of agents, and then providing a decision.
All right. So far, we talked about lots of mission-critical, business-critical processes. How are you reimagining IT?
Yeah, so it's key to a lot of corporations, right? So I think there's two parts of how we're looking at IT. One is, like I'm sure many people in the audience do, is bringing Agentic AI into the development lifecycle, the SDLC. And so how do we actually equip our developers with agents that will accelerate the development of new solutions and to some extent increase the quality of the code that we're developing. And then two is we want to get into an environment where we have self-maintained software, right? And for us, it's really critical that we're developing software that will autonomously manage themselves and repairs and resolve issues. So we want to move into a zero-ticket environment where tickets are being resolved autonomously and by
the idea of self-managed software. That's fantastic. That would be wonderful, isn't it? And the zero-ticket environment. Thank you, Julian, for joining us. Please give Julian a big, big round of applause.
Thank you
for coming.
Thank you so much.